Collection agency lawyers assist creditors recover millions of dollars from consumers. In part one of Confessions of a Collection Agency Lawyer, we heard one collection agency lawyer share his regrets for working on behalf of collection agencies. In part two of this series, this former collection agency lawyer describes how his law firm collected massive amounts from consumers.
Before the break, you confirmed that you worked as a collection agency lawyer for 12 years between 1994 and 2006. Furthermore, you sent demand letters on your law firm's letterhead to the residents of both Canada and the United States.
Today we want to drill down into the details of your collection law practice.
I'm actually pretty hungry. Is there any chance I could get a sandwich or something?
What can you tell us about the collection letters that you sent out on your law firm's letterhead?
One day I was driving into work. It was probably around 6 a.m. and I was listening to my favorite radio station, and I hear the fellow on the radio making fun of a lawyer who had sent out a demand letter on the lawyer's letterhead to a Hamilton resident for an account where the outstanding balance was under $12. And I recognized, as soon as he read the letter, I knew it was from my law office. So we had there were a few smiles when I got to the office about that. Now, subsequently, I guess the individual, it was a man, older gentleman who had received the letter, and he had gone to his local newspaper, the Hamilton Spectator, and the Hamilton Spectator newspaper did a story about it, and there was a picture of this gentleman holding up my letter. That picture appeared with the story in the Hamilton Spectator newspaper. Because we were, my law firm was sending out hundreds of thousands of lawyers' letters. Obviously, I wouldn't know the names of the people who were receiving these letters. And I would get people telling me that they'd received a letter from my law office, and they were, they were kind of insulted by it. So, for example, there was a teller at my bank branch. He told me, I received a collection letter from you. And who else? A neighbor across the street. There was where my daughter went to school, one of the parents of the kids in my daughter's class at school. And then there was part of the healthcare team that looked after my wife for the delivery of one of my daughters. She had got one of the letters. So, it certainly were a lot of people who received these letters, and some of them wanted to let me know that they had received them.
What can you tell us about these draft statement of claims?
A draft statement of claim essentially comes in two parts. The first part is a one-page cover letter, and it would be on the letterhead of the law offices of Mark Silverthorn. And essentially, the letter would say that I am the lawyer for the particular creditor to whom the recipient of the letter owes X amount of dollars with respect to a particular account. And my instructions are to commence a lawsuit against them unless the account is paid by a particular date. And then I indicate that, please find enclosed a draft statement of claim that has been prepared and is ready to be issued with the court. The second document was the draft statement of claim. And typically, because we're in Ontario, we use a document called the plaintiff's claim, and that was a document that a creditor would use if they were suing someone in small claims court And I believe at the time it was on legal size paper. Now it's on letter size paper. But on the first page, it would indicate the name of the creditor, plaintiff, and the name of the debtor, defendant, and it would indicate, and then we'd also put a red seal, a red gummed seal. It was about 1.5 inches in diameter. Now, the one thing that we did do in the top left-hand corner in bold letters is we put the word draft. Now, a lot of people, when they got this document, it looked like it came from the court. And so it was very effective in the sense that a high percentage of people who received this, the cover letter and the draft statement of claim, they believed that if they did not pay this account by such and such a date, that they were going to be sued because the paperwork had already been prepared. Now, I subsequently learned that the Richmond Hill Small Claims Court, they would routinely have people who had received a draft statement of claim come to the court and try and file a defense.
How effective were these draft statement of claims?
There was one instance where my law firm had sent out some draft statement of claims on behalf of a particular creditor. And you have to appreciate that when a creditor sends files to a collection agency, they don't send one file. They may send 500 or they may send 10,000. So in this particular instance, this creditor sent over a whole whack of files, and the only problem was the outstanding balance on each one of these files was incorrect. So my law firm sent out a draft statement of claim on all these unpaid accounts, and then the creditor advised us that they had provided us with the wrong amounts. Well, just to give you an idea how effective these draft statement of claims were, a lot of people paid these amounts, and in some instances, the amounts that I had demanded that they pay, it might have been somewhere between 2 to 10 times what they actually owed. So as a result of this, my firm had to send out a lot of refunds to these people.
Can you tell us about your law firm employing individuals to make collection calls?
Yes, I did collection work between 1994 and 2006. And I would say between about 2002, 2003, and 2006, my law firm would have employed individuals making collection calls. And these individuals, they would have essentially been making collection calls just like collectors at a collection agency. Now, I do want to point out that it was important for me to make sure that these individuals acted in a professional manner. The people that regulate lawyers would never tolerate the kind of rude and unprofessional behavior that is tolerated by people, collectors working at collection agencies. But I did employ a significant number of people whose job was essentially that of a collector. And many of these people, their background, they had worked at a collection agency as a collector before I hired them. And at its zenith, I would say in 2006, I was employing approximately 25 people full-time, and their only job was to make collection calls.
Do you have any regrets about being a collection lawyer for 12 years?
Yes, I do have a number of regrets. I think the biggest regret that I have is that I was taking advantage of unsophisticated people. There are lots of people out there who are sophisticated and they have access to legal advice. And these people would not be paying accounts in circumstances where it wasn't necessary for them to pay the account. The people who were unsophisticated or uneducated or new Canadians, they would be much more likely to pay accounts in circumstances where they were judgment proof or where a limitation period had expired and they would have had a good defense.
Have you done anything to make amends for working 12 years as a collection agency lawyer?
Well, one of the things that I've tried to do is to level the playing field between creditors and collection agents and those who are receiving collection calls. And in 2010, I wrote a book. It's called The Wolf at the Door, What to Do When Collection Agencies Come Calling. And it was published by the Canadian publisher McClelland and Stewart. And that book was designed to be a reference guide for people who were receiving collection calls or simply people who were having problems making the minimum monthly payments on their credit cards, and they had significant debt problems. For 9 years, I worked as a consumer lawyer, and I represented individuals across Canada who were struggling with debt. And one of the things that I did was negotiate settlements. And this would be circumstances where people owed money, and I would negotiate on their behalf with their creditors and their authorized collection agents. And in many instances, the creditors would agree to accept a one-time lump sum payment for substantially less than what the people owed. And this may have been, 15, 25 cents on the dollar. I retired from the practice of law in October of 2019. In 2021, I founded a consulting business called Debt Coach Silverthorn. The firm's website is debtcoachsilverthorn.ca. The mantra for Debt Coach Silverthorn is empowering Canadians struggling with debt. On the website, there's all kinds of it's chock full of articles that are helpful for people who are struggling with debt. I also offer 30-minute telephone consultations for people who want some one-on-one coaching. And then the Debt Coach Silverthorn channel publishes a weekly YouTube video, and so there's plenty of content available on the YouTube channel for people who want to know more about how to deal with their debt situation.